So today I wanted to try my hand at metal etching. I've seen people do this using nothing more than salt water and a AA battery. I decided to use an old cell phone charger that has 5 volts 1200 milliamp output for this process. To do this, I took the charger, cut off the micro USB charge port, stripped both wires, leaving the negative wire exposed and attaching a small crocodile clip to the positive leads. What you'd also need is a glass filled with water mixed with a bunch of table salt. And I mean a bunch. There's probably 6 tablespoons of salt mixed into this water. You also need a shape of some kind that you'd like to etch into the metal. In this case I didn't vinyl cut something, so I'm just using some masking tape into which I will cut a shape that we will etch into this metal. The metal that I'm using in this case is mild steel that I just cleaned up on the lathe so that we have a nice clean surface to do the etching on. So I'm just going to cut the initials PM into this masking tape, removing the parts that I want to expose to the metal etching process. Speeding up this process because I'm really terrible at cutting out the shapes. It would be much better for me to just use a vinyl cutter and cut this out of some sticker vinyl. But this is just a test and this will get the job done just fine. Also, a sharp X-Acto knife is always a useful tool. The next step is wrapping the negative lead around the metal bar and ensuring good contact. I'm doing this by twisting the copper wire into the piece and then rotating the piece so that the connection is as tight as possible on that end. So now we've plugged in the cell phone charger into the wall socket, getting ready with our salt water and adding a cotton swab, or a cotton ball at least in this case, to our crocodile clip. This cotton ball needs to be fairly small and compressed so that it doesn't get too wet. Once it gets too wet, it doesn't work. So we just dip this into the salt water and then we just apply this to the exposed surfaces that we'd like to etch. Now this is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm using a cell phone charger that may be a little underpowered, so it is going to take a while. And all you do is you just press the salt water filled cotton swab up against the exposed metal over and over again, etching the metal. I'm going to play this at a faster pace so that you don't have to watch me do this for 15 minutes. So during this 15 minutes I was constantly moving the cotton swab around on the exposed metal, thereby etching wherever there is contact made between the cotton ball and the exposed metal. Etching is a process that literally eats away at the metal that is exposed. So at the end of this you will be able to feel with your fingernails the lip that's created by the metal that was etched away. Here I'm playing at a normal speed so you can see the bubbles fizzing at the cotton and the crocodile clip. If you're seeing this fizzing, it means that the etching process is working. My curiosity got the better of me, so instead of carrying on and etching this deeper, I really wanted to see what this looks like. So I decided to disconnect the power and see what this looked like. And there you go, we can see that the etching process has worked and the letters that were exposed through the tape was indeed etched into the metal. On the M side you can clearly see that there's a lip, as you can also see by the X-Acto knife hitting up against that lip. I think the longer you run this process, the more metal will be etched away and the deeper this will become, making the result longer lasting. In this more close-up view, you can definitely see that there's a lip created. The P is not as deep as the M, and that is because I spent more time on the M than the P in this case. So a future note would be to try and spend the same amount of time on both or all of the exposed areas so that you'll get an even and equally deep metal etch. So there we go, a nice permanent way to mark tools made by me. I also tested this on aluminium and that also works just fine. Thanks for watching.